Fusion! Ha! I am they. We are one. Unfortunately for you.
Alright, hello for one of the best for the names of and today I'm going to thank you for clicking on the video and supporting a small creator like myself. We're just going to be ranting about something that's really fucking stupid regarding Dragon Ball Legends, so if you enjoy my banter, please consider subscribing at the end. Without further ado, I'm just going to kick it off by saying, what the absolute fuck is the Legends team doing, bro? Like, these... Bro, y'all remember the new philosophy letter? They were like, oh, we're gonna make characters more in line with their series counterparts and try to make a more balanced experience where every character isn't doing everything. Yeah, that was a year ago. That was a year ago before the 7th anniversary, before the Dragon Ball Saga campaign. The Dragon Ball Saga campaign. And in like just over a year, they've managed to get right back to every character doing literally everything. Now, I'm sure, I mean, you guys have heard this from, if you watch Garash or Ryuden, you've already seen their videos on this. But my video is going to be just talking about not one thing, but they got to a point in their videos where they were like, what if they just ran out of ideas? Like, is it that hard? So you all saw the thumbnail. If you ran out of ideas, Tawny, I'm not gonna talk about Yuka. Yuka's just the social media manager. I'm gonna give you some, okay? We're gonna go back to every character every Legend character since the Legend rarity dropped, and give ideas for characters. But first, I have to ask the fucking question: what the fuck do these mean? What do they mean? Well, they mean, oh, this one's more focused on range. No, what the fuck do they mean? Dude, y'all remember what defense types, the whole thing was sustaining themselves and being able to take hits? And I mean take a hit. I'm not talking about healing 17% of their fucking HP after taking a hit. I mean, just raw stats to eat a hit, and that shit did nothing to them. What happened to defense types, bro? What happened to support types? These characters whose main goals were to actually sit there and support the team, nothing else. People hear that and they're like, oh, that's boring as fuck. It's like, dude, there was a point in this game where the ideal setup on paper was to have a support character, a defense character, and a melee or range type character on the team. I don't get how we got away from that. Like, no, I get how we got away from that because every character ended up doing everything, so these types mean fucking nothing. Bro, Broly! Legend 880 Broly. Dude, we all remember how hard that nigga was hitting, right? On release, that motherfucker was hitting like a goddamn truck, okay? Bro, that motherfucker was one-shotting everybody with that fucking... That's why I wanted to transform him, because you transform him and he fucking hits you like fucking... He smacks Earthman and fire out your ass, bro. Dude, and then, dude, Bardock was... Actually, no, Bardock was one of the best team in the game when he released. I can tell you it wasn't for his tanking, it was for two things. That motherfucker did a gazillion damage, bro, for no reason. Defense type, by the way, doing a gazillion damage, and because it's indestructible. His indestructible does not mean he tanks. It's just because he cannot be killed. That does not classify you as a defense type. If that's the case, then Legend Piccolo is a defense type, okay? Then melee type Goku and Bardock are a defense type because they can't die because of indestructible, okay? That does not classify you as a defense type, okay? Like, what happened to these typings? Like, genuinely, what happened? So, first off, I'm gonna lay down the groundwork for what these typings should be doing, okay? Melee and range typings should be the powerhouses of their team. Their main focus should be building up their damage in different ways, or maybe depending on the character, coming in, doing a shit ton of damage for a set amount of time, like burst damage, and then leaving to refresh that burst damage, and then coming back in. In other words, their main objective should just be dealing damage. Being immune to things that don't let them deal damage. They should be the ones with longer amounts of Covenant, and they should be the ones to be able to refresh their Covenant as much as they want, under easier conditions, because they're the ones who should be the oppressive ones. They're the melee and range type characters. They're the damage type characters. Defense type characters are the ones that, oh yeah, melee type characters and melee type characters, range type characters should not be able to tank hits, okay? Defense type characters are the characters that when you make a mistake and when you get caught as your melee range type character or your support type character, you bring them in so they can take hits. That is their job. They're the tanks of the team. And the reason you're so comfortable with letting these characters take hits is because, one, they can viably do so, and they have abilities within their kit to sustain themselves. What I mean by that is healing, debuffing the enemy so taking hits is easier, healing after every hit maybe, taking hits, and then like healing at the end of every combo. I know how to fucking speak, leave me alone, okay? Cover changing gives them damage guard. These are the characters whose starter ability should have higher damage guard numbers than damage numbers, because their goal is not to deal damage, their goal is to take it. These characters are fine if they're not able to deal damage. That is completely okay. That is fine. As long as they're able to take hits, it is okay. If they can sustain themselves, that is okay. Support type characters shouldn't be the ones taking, they shouldn't be the ones dealing damage. They should have they should be capable of doing so to a decent amount. Okay, so 17 and Frieza should not be dealing 80% damage with their blue card, okay? They should not be hitting you as hard as they are. If I open their kit, I actually haven't read this kit, and in my thought process of making this video, I want to make sure that I'm right before I start yapping my ass off. Let me make sure this shit is correct. I am correct. And actually, I'm more correct than I thought it was. Goku and Frieza, the support type character, when their gauge is release type, get 80% uncancelable damage while their gauge is release type, uncancelable draw speed, uncancelable overdrive charge rate, and uncancelable key protection. They are a support type character. These should be applied to their allies. For the duration that their gauge is release type, their allies should have 80% damage. Their allies should have uncancelable draw speed. Their allies should have uncancelable overdrive charge rate. And their allies should have uncancelable protect key. This sounds... I wouldn't want to have that on people like UVB. That shit is not permanent. That is uncancelable for like 15 counts. They are a support type character. There's no reason why they should have all this to themselves. Their whole thing is being selfless. They should be supporting the team with everything that they have. I'm not saying that they can't have abilities to themselves. I'm saying that those abilities that they have to themselves should also be shared with the rest of the team. The support type characters are the characters where after a certain amount of time, where you bring them in. My damage character is low. My tanking character is low. Bring them in, you perform well with them, you adhere to their kits, and you give them the abilities to heal your team back up and raise the damage of your damage characters, raise the defense of your defense characters, so when they come back in, they can get back to doing their job. These are the characters that you should be sacking off first, okay? Melee range and support characters are not the ones with suck at life mechanics. I am fine with support type characters having endurance. I am fine with defense characters having endurance because they make sense. Defense characters are the ones that should have comeback, revives, succession, indestructible, the state of indestructible, like Bardock, okay? I don't get why fucking Legend Piccolo has indestructible. I will never get that, okay? Now that I am done talking about what each character should have, I'm going to talk about, what character timing should have. I'm going to talk about what each character individually what each legend character individually should have had, okay? So going off who they were in the series, okay? Super Vegito. He was a powerhouse in the series, but he also wasn't a dumbass, okay? We know this man has some battle IQ on him, okay? But we can admit, melee type was not a bad decision for a legend Super Vegito, okay? It was not, okay? So, what do I think Legend Vegito should have had? I actually think Legend Vegito, if you take away his endurance and buff removal, was a pretty good representation of Vegito's character. Okay, the legend action, being able to draw hits. You know, he's the one that didn't draw blues. He gets an ultimate when someone is dead, which makes sense, right? He was the last one standing. okay, against Boo, just against Boo, against Boo, the onslaught of Boo, everyone was dead, and he was the last man standing. It makes sense to give him an ability when he has allies dying, okay? I think that is fair. I don't get why he has endurance as a melee character, okay? I am also aware that for the state of the game, you need to be able to change certain things. You need to be able to implement things in the characters' kits to help out with other characters. But the thing is, in this world, you don't have characters that are super oppressive, because each character should be balanced in their own right to their typings. They are balanced and restricted by their typings. And then you can make them as busted as they want within their subset, within their set of skills, within the melee type category, within the range, within the defense, within the support type categories. Okay? Legend Piccolo. This man showed up. This whole fight. This was the fight with 17, or a part of it at least. Let's go talk about Fusukami Piccolo in general, right? This character showed up, and no one knew he was going to be this powerful in the series. Of course, we knew he was going to go crazy, okay? If you did it, then you're just a Piccolo hater. This man showed up with not unmatched, but a way better speed, way better strength, way better everything. So I think this guy's the definition of a burst type character. This guy's showing up doing unprecedented amounts of damage and just making you not want to live. I think this character's gimmick should have been coming in, and with the unique gauge, I agree with the unique gauge type. I agree with the way he worked offensively. Why does he have indestructible? Why does he have why is it that he has raising art costs? I agree with him going type defense on the green. In fact, I think that every time he fills his gauge, he should get a green card. Or maybe every 2 times. He should get a green card to go type neutral and continue the burst damage. Maybe the green card acts as a reset for those burst damage capabilities, okay? I don't get why he has indestructible. I get from, maybe, the meta standpoint at the time, you need someone that wouldn't just get one shot. But if you designed every character this way, from the Dragon Ball Saga campaign, I'm not going to go over that from then. Going over every legend character. These balancing issues shouldn't be the problem. And what should be the driving factor for power creep is simply the padding of their starter abilities. Defense types slowly just get way more damage guard that ages out older offense types. So the offense types slowly get more damage that ages out older defense type characters. The support type characters should be the ones that age the greatest, because these are the characters that don't necessarily rely on damage, or they shouldn't rely on their damage, and they shouldn't rely on their tanking, because all they're doing is supporting. Okay? They have the most tangible effects, not based on these ooga booga stats. And that's fine. They should be able to age well, regardless, if they're designed as a support character. Future Gohan and Trunks. Actually, no, this is not going in order. Let me sort it by card type. Card number. Okay, I can just go in my head. After Piccolo, it was Daima, Super Saiyan 3 Goku. This character in the series had 5 seconds of screen time. This is another burst damage character in my opinion. Or you can go the route that he was tanking a lot of Goma's attacks. By a lot, I mean that one attack that made him de-transform. And he could go defense type route. But we're going to rewrite his kit the way that he's a melee type. This character's gimmick, in my opinion, seeing as the blue card is the only ability that is mainly that is mainly from the not mainly, it is from the, so I guess I'm not on the script. Any stuttering that I'm doing, talking off the top of my head, just pouring my fucking thoughts out. Okay. The melee, this character main gimmick should be the blue card, because it's the only animation that was actually from the series as far as I recall. I don't remember the green card was from the series. I know everything else wasn't. Pretty much. They pretty much just came up with stuff because he didn't do anything. This character's main gimmick should have been applying Actually, they should have taken the legend route. Making so this character's main gimmick is hitting a legend action into the blue card. The legend action enhances. This sounds similar to any other fucking character that you could think of. This character enhances his blue card to deal a shit ton of damage. Does maybe lowers health restoration, things like that, because he's fighting canonically he's fighting Goma. And when he lands his blue card, you debuff their opponent for a set amount of time. And so the strategy when you use this character is, alongside him just being a hyper offensive powerhouse, the whole goal with this character is to want to stay in the upper area as much as possible. You want to end every combo. If you're in the lower area, bring them back to the upper area. So the next time you combo with this character, you can get that enhanced blue card and knock them the fuck out. Okay? That is the goal of this character, in my opinion. These are simple kits. That is the goal for these characters. Make every character unique, have 2 or 3 things that define the character, keep them in their role, and make them feel nice to play as and against. Make them rewarding, okay? Give them an obvious, clear objective. Next character, I believe, was Bardock. Bardock is a character who is rebelling against the Frieza army on his lonesome. I don't mind this character being a defense type. I think it actually fits really well. I think that they should have sacrificed a lot of his, and I mean a lot, he's a defense type character. I think they should have sacrificed some of his defense type capabilities for more offensive, other way around. His offensive capabilities for more defensive capabilities. There's no reason why this motherfucker, like, when he's at, when his unique gauge is up, he just takes a shit ton of damage. Do y'all know this nigga gets damage when his unique gauge is up? Damage, 70% damage, the defense type. And okay, let me read out what his unique gauge does. Okay? He gives indestructible, right? 70% damage. That should have been 70% damage guard, or maybe even 100% damage guard. He's a defense type character. This is a state in which you don't want him to die, okay? This would have been so much better, in my opinion, for a defense type character than giving him damage. He's type defense permanently. That is beautiful. Type defense permanently. Nullify normal condition. That is beautiful. That also doubles as an offensive mechanic in its own right, because you can't stop his offensive onslaught, his combos, with paralyze and immobilization and feints. You can't stop him that way. And that makes sense as a defense type. Okay? Next, when unique gauge reaches 0, he heals 20% fixed. That should not be fixed. That should be, in my opinion, this is what I would have done, because some kit changing. What I would have done was make it so every hit he lands ups his health restoration in the indestructible state. Then, when he gets out of it, he heals 10% default, but for every card that I landed, his health restoration goes up, and I can heal a shit ton based on my performance. Or maybe, because he's a defense type, he ups his health restoration permanently for a set amount of time, and just until his gauge runs out, based on the amount of hits that he takes. So you have incentive to throw it in. Every time someone pops a blue card, every time he swaps in, he heals up a little bit. This is fine. I think this is fine as a defense type character as you strip him of offensive capabilities. His whole thing is coming in and becoming a one-man army. Then maybe as characters die around him, because remember, he is not supposed to die first. In my philosophy of this game, support type characters should be dying first. So after a character dies, after certain characters, maybe actually, fuck that. I hate it when characters are restricted to when characters die. When characters reach a certain HP threshold, when an ally reaches 75% HP or lower, he gets offensive buffs. He's seeing his squad die around him and he's getting damage buffs. That is fine. That is Bardock, okay? Taking hits, just ignoring everything to get to the final foe. But as the enemies are dying around him, he's getting stronger. I like that better than whatever the fuck this was, okay? There's no reason why a defense type should have been running the game as much as he was, okay? Now, brace yourselves for the next one. I don't know much about Ultra Super Villain Goku Black, so I'm just gonna base it off Goku Black. What I know about Goku Black, this man fucking hates mortals. Okay, you can see it as an LF, you can see it in everything. Okay, he fucking hates these niggas. So what do we do? Why the fuck does he destroy 2 cards when he gets hit? Why does he heal 3 times at half HP? Why does he have endurance? They should have played it into his unique gauge more. I like the way his unique gauge works. Every time the more you build him up, the more devastating cards he draws to hurt you. What if it's certain things like, I don't know, his ultimate overrides, his blue card overrides Combo Kong. That sounds busted, but this man has no second life mechanic, no buff removal, okay? Get rid of that shit. Bardock should have buff removal, team-wide buff removal, okay? Buff removal for himself. Because he doesn't have an endurance, I would say team-wide buff removal in the case of him, okay? Blue card on Rose. I like that the more levels he gets. Honestly, I like the way he was designed. offensively drawing more cards. I would have been fine if they stripped his his defensive capabilities and his endurance and his buff removal. If they would have made it so his Legends action was the first one to combo into strikes and blasts, that would have been fine. I think, like, again, these characters still sound busted. Which, if they want to make them busted, if anything, that's proof they can make these characters busted without making them go out of their roles. Okay, I think that's fine. Okay, next up was Legend Broly. Legend Broly is a defense type character. Why is this character dealing a ton of damage? I think if this character was going to combo into blue cards, this character's blue cards should have been the things to stack up more damage guard for him. So in each form, the first time he lands a blue card, he gets 20% damage guard or something. So that makes it so you have something to hunt for before you go into before you do it. Make his main ability give him more damage guard, right? There's no reason why this character should have been doing as much damage. Strip some of his damage capabilities. I'm not saying that a transforming character shouldn't scale in damage. I'm saying that a defense transforming character should scale in damage less than he is scaling in defense. That is it. Make his whole thing healing. Make him heal more in between transformations. Strip him his offensive capabilities. Maybe instead of drawing a blue, he draws a green card. I don't know. To think better. Like, when you're classifying these characters as defense types, it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense he's a defense type because he has auto counters. That's it. That's the only thing that classifies him as a defense type. This character doesn't have as much healing as I'd like him to have, to be honest. This character should have more cancel buff charges to himself. I don't get why he doesn't. Right? This character was dealing more damage than I would say Gogeta on release. And that's crazy. Alright, I'm done with him. Next character, and these are two pretty funny characters. Future Gohan and Trunks. These characters are Future Gohan is known for his last stand against the androids with infinite stamina and basically, like, they would never get tired. No matter what he did, he couldn't put them down. They would always get back up. He didn't have enough power. He was a formidable warrior, and he's known for his last stand. Future Trunks is known for going back to the past to right his wrongs. A more brutal fighting character, honestly. He doesn't let characters transform. He goes in for the killing blow. I somewhat agree with how this character is designed. They need to have been toned down. Their numbers, this is a case of their offensive range type capabilities being too much. I think that them having legend action, like endurance nullification, is fine. But what they should have done was, instead of enhancing blue cards to make their nullify endurance uncancelable, they should have just made it so, like, on legend action, make it, or on tag, legend action deals 100. Next legend action deals 100% more damage. Boom. Now you basically have a blue card hitting legend action, and the blue card is just a normal blue card. I think this character having as much ways to refresh cover null as they could was stupid. In my opinion, if they were going to be designed that way, they should have had more key problems. They should have lowered. They should not be getting 50 key, maybe 35. There's no reason why. They should have been able to combo that long. That's just I'm going to say on him. Shallot, I don't know much about him. I'll be honest. I don't know fuck all about that character. Whoop-de-doo. But he is a fusion warrior. He's a god fusion warrior, right? You can't sense his ki. He's tricky. They kind of did that, you know? They kind of did that with his blue card, the roulette, right? But, I mean, and let's be honest, his damage just needed to be higher. That's it. I think Future Gohan and Trunks did a good job not having endurance. Having buff removal, I think, was a stupid thing. That should be the job of a defense type character. But having buff removal should have been a thing for this character. In my opinion, in all honesty, this character should have just been a defense type, because that's what his team needed. Game Originals needed a defense type. So I would have just reworked him to make it so instead of his green cards having these things, instead of his blue cards having this roulette type ability, his green card has this roulette type ability. In my opinion, or maybe make the blue card roulette more defensive stuff. Make him stack up his damage guard. Make him get type neutral, maybe type off, maybe type dark for a little bit. You never know. I think this character should have been way more defensive. Yeah, I mean, this character's kind of just like a nothing burger in my opinion, and it's unfortunate because I'm not even like a Shallot hater. I just think he needed to be better. 17 and Frieza, I talked about them earlier. They seem to be supporting more. I think their support is great, but as a support character, if you have a unique gauge and the unique gauge payoff for your support character isn't support capabilities and instead selfish defense, selfish damage capabilities for yourself, I don't like that. You're a support type. You should be supporting the team. This is 17 and Golden Frieza, the last backbone of Team Universe 7 against Jiren while Goku is out for the count. I'm not gonna say they were stalling for Goku to get back up, but they were the last bastion. They were supporting each other. They were trying to get Jiren out of this fucking ring. Why are they only supporting themselves? Their whole goal is to win for Team Universe 7, to win for their team. Why is their whole payoff moment not helping their team? I don't get that. Other than that, I think 17 and Golden Frieza are fine. Them having endurance is fine. Them having standby buff cancellation, I think it's fine for a support character. I think it's fine. I'm just glad it wasn't like indestructible or comeback or anything crazy. Now for the news character, Kaioken Blue Goku. This motherfucker, I'll be honest with you, I don't know what's wrong with this character. I haven't fought him because no one really summoned. Atlas Gogeta, if you're watching this, this fellow Wander, he subscribed to the channel, you should do the same. I hope you pulled him. I hope he's doing good for you. I haven't seen him do much, I'll be honest. Yeah, that's about it. I think this character should have just had higher damaging stats and should have been more focused on... His gimmick seems to be just like stacking the damage with his release gauge. Or his time gauge, sorry. I think it's time gauge, let me pull it up. It is a time type. And make it so he's a burst type character. Makes so when he comes in, he gets that nullify everything mechanic for like 10 counts instead of 5. Upon using a card, of course. And actually, this one should be upon landing a card, in my opinion. Get cover null upon using it, then that you can nullify everything upon landing. And I think this character should have just been more focused offensively, get rid of his endurance, get rid of the buff cancellation, and replace it for more offensive capabilities. That's it. I just want characters to be in the roles that they're saying that they should be in. I don't get why 17 and Golden Frieza, with their big payoff unique gauge moment, doesn't support as a support type. I don't get that. Okay, I think that Broly's guard action should have had more defense capabilities, like on it, like building up defense and damage guard. They're so scared of raising damage guard numbers. Which, if anything, if you make this a thing, defense. If you make their defense types damage guard numbers higher, it gives you a reason to then raise the melee, the damage type, the offense type characters' damage numbers. I think that's fine. But that's gonna be it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please consider liking the video and subscribing to become a fellow wanderer yourself. Until then, see you guys in the next one. Be boba.